the pre-elf.
Roasting the Wizarding Mushrooms, Episode 9. Meet Ep9, the only mushroom in the forest who went from enslaved houseware to freelance chaos consultant, and still hesitates to take a single normal day off. Born into servitude, raised on weaponized gratitude, groomed to believe that suffering isn't a flaw in the system, but the price of admission for existing at all. Ep9 speaks about himself in the third person, like a defective kitchen appliance. His whole early life build is,
What if Ep9 internalized the entire system and ran the self-punishment department on ultra-hard mode whenever Ep9 felt joy?
by the time we meet him, his nervous system is doing parkour. Every tiny act of rebellion triggers a reflex to immediately injure himself before the oppressor can react. And then comes the sock from Harry Sporty. The forest frames it like a fairy tale twist. One filthy piece of laundry and boom. Freedom? No back pay. No reparations. No, you own 30% of the manor now. Just a single sock, and the expectation he'll be endlessly grateful not to be property anymore. Ep9 treats that sock like holy scripture. Because when you've been told you're less than a being, any scrap of dignity feels like a miracle. Then he does something nobody sees coming. He walks away from Old Boy Corp and negotiates with Elder Dumblespore for a paid job at Logwaltz. Dumblespore.
10 gold coins a week and weekends off.
Ep9.
Absolutely not, sir. That's far too much money and rest for someone who tried to save your chosen one. 1 gold coin and 1 day off a month is plenty, sir.
This little guy escaped slavery and still haggled his own salary down. That's not humility. That's what happens when exploitation rewires your concept of enough, to the point that he immediately decides his new life goal is,
Ep9 must attach itself to the most danger magnet boy in the ecosystem and see how fast Ep9 can die doing unpaid heroism.
and once he's allowed clothes, he doesn't just wear them, he detonates in them. Pillowcase retired. Now it's 6 socks, none matching. 3 hats, all clashing. A tea cozy, some scarves, and at least 1 garment whose original function is unknown. He isn't just free, he's visually screaming.
I will offend your retinas until you admit I exist.
The other elves look at him like he's bonkers. He looks back like,
You mean you don't want money and days off and the right to dress like a textile migraine? Tragic.
Ep9 has a flawless moral compass and non-existent risk assessment. Wards? Anti-wish fields? He treats them like a polite suggestion. Everyone else. Ep9.
That's adorable. Madam, it's sir.
The tragedy is, once he gets out from under Malt Boy's rage, he never turns that fight inward. He never says.
Maybe Ep9's life belongs to Ep9 now?
He says.
Maybe Ep9's life belongs to the continuation of the Chosen Boy storyline.
His relationship with Harry Spotty is both beautiful and toxic. Harry.
I don't want anyone to die for me.
Ep9 goes.
Correct, sir. That's why I must.
This is a freed worker who escapes slavery, demands wages, chooses his work, and still believes his highest purpose is being expendable for someone else's story. Going on side quests so deranged that even the prophecy says,
Wait, you're doing what now?
and then we hit Mold Boy Manor. Ep9 hears Harry is captured, and his brain instantly drafts a rescue mission brief.
No backup, maximum risk, solo extraction. Ep9 must whooshy-whoosh into his ex-employer's torture manor, disarm the room, secure the prisoners, and yank them out under Mold Emo's non-existent nose.
He pulls it off, and then he pays in full, knife in the chest, dying on a mission he chose, rescuing the only people who ever treated him as more than houseware. Harry builds him a grave and carves, Here lies Ep9, a free elf, and we all cry. But once the tears clear, Ep9 is the clearest indictment of the entire forest's moral economy. Ep9 deserved freedom earlier, wages higher, stakes lower. He should have ended up running a house elf union out of the Logwaltz kitchens, charging consulting fees to the order, then retiring in a cottage so aggressively decorated in clashing fabrics that visitors needed sunglasses. Instead, he got a heroic death scene, a grave hand dug without magic and no pension. The roast of Ep9 isn't, haha, funny little guy self-punishes. The real roast is that he tore up his chains, stitched them into clothes, demanded wages, chose his career, and still could not imagine a version of freedom where his life was valuable enough to keep. And the forest let him believe that was normal. But even inside all that, he finds ways to rebel. He lies when it matters. He defies orders he knows are wrong. He protects children in a world that treats them as renewable war resources. He carries in his tiny hands something most of the great wizards never really manage, a refusal to become cruel despite having every excuse.
Ep9 is a free elf.
Roasting the Wizarding Mushrooms, next episode. Root Bear Hug Grid. And if you don't want YouTube to bury it under cooking tutorials and crypto scams, press like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell so you actually see it when it drops.